This project is focused on the reclassification system that is applied to our Latino English learner children in San Francisco public schools. San Francisco is considered one of the most advanced cities in California and in the world, and at the same time, it has some of the largest achievement gaps between and among student subgroups. One that continuously suffers negative impacts are our English learners from Latino communities. A big part of San Francisco's English learners population in public schools are formed by Spanish-speaking children. In 2020, almost 60% are considered socioeconomically disadvantaged, and only less than 10% get reclassified each year. But what does it mean to be an English learner, EL for short, and to be reclassified? An EL is a student who enrolls in a California school beginning in any grade level between kindergarten and 12th grade, that has a language other than English identified on the enrollment school application, and upon assessment, obtain a level of English proficiency that indicates programs and services are necessary until they meet the reclassification criteria. Reclassification is a process by which a student is reclassified from English learner status to fluent English proficiency status. The Public Policy Institute of California believes it's an adaptable process. And in concept, it can be, but in practice, most cases can be very complex. ELs get left behind because of a lack of effective communication and implementation around the requirements involved in the reclassification process. There is a big misalignment between the bundles of services and settings provided. The problem often shifts settings and curricula for the student. They miss out on general educational programs because they are held back in order to take EL classes. And sometimes, a considerable proportion of students remain ELs through their entire educational careers, causing disruptions to achievement trajectories and graduation. The Latino population are disproportionately affected because of socioeconomic conditions and systematic racism. ELs are more likely than other students to come from high poverty backgrounds or have parents with less education. Both characteristics are associated with lower achievement in the general population. Kids in poverty come in with all sorts of needs: housing insecurity, food scarcity, trauma, mental health needs, gaps in their learning. Importantly, reclassification processes may be sensitive to racial and ethnic biases, disproportionately limiting the reclassification for Latino EL students, keeping them segregated in current lower socioeconomic conditions, and resulting in continuous learning gaps. ELs are more likely to be taught by novice or early career teachers. For example, teachers on emergency permits are 3 times as likely to teach high minority schools and twice as likely to teach in high poverty schools. These are precisely the schools that also teach the majority of English learners. Language barrier. Parental engagement with schoolwork, monitoring progress, and communication with teachers are key factors in student success. Most of the EL parents do not know English, and technology is difficult, making it harder to advocate for their children and help them with their work. But this is just not a district case only, but a state one as well. California has the largest EL student population in the nation. In 2020, about 40% of the students in California K-12 speak other than English at home, and almost half are considered ELs. That translates into about 1.1 million ELs in public schools. To put that number in context, that is more than the number of students that an individual state has. Of those 1.1 million, 82% are Spanish speakers, followed by Vietnamese, Mandarin, Arabic, and other languages with highs of only 2% each. Another factor are budget cuts. The government schools have limited budgets when compared to private schools. Due to the pandemic and attendance, budget cuts keep rising more so since 2020. Funding to aid programs and services can be insufficient, and participating in extracurriculars can pose financial burden for parents. We see a vital need of providing clear information to families during the application process and early in the child's school journey that doesn't rely on technical accessibility. a need of aligning systems and high-quality implementation to achieve short and long-term goals across the entire continuation of the education system, a need of redefining relationships between the immediate stakeholders by having collective responsibility, a need for prioritizing and addressing the child and their family's needs. Families are essential partners, not just occasional stakeholders. A child that comes to a school site is not just about academics. That child comes from a family, a community, and what is occurring in that family and the community is also being brought to the school site. A need for honoring the child and the family's voice. When they use their voice, that increases a sense of belonging. And when children and families feel that they belong, then it is easier to address the rigorous learning. This population success is important for the city and the state's overall economic prosperity. No city or state can prosper without a well-educated workforce. But more importantly, San Francisco has a great income inequality, and any effort to improve outcome for the students is essential to addressing this problem. Lastly, it is important to acknowledge that English learners have valuable skills and knowledge even if they're not yet proficient in English, and working closely with these students and their families can lead us to a prosperous and sustainable future by making the life cycle of reclassification more easily adaptable in order to ensure the success of the English learners.